Alright, so this first move is called backdrop. It's a variation of instant replay in the sense that it's not fired straight, but it's off of the back of the hand. So for this, to get into the move, we're going to start with a back palm. For those of you who don't know what the technique behind this is, you want to take a card. This can start off with the card already being in the right hand if you have it in some post hot shot cut position. Personally, I like to slide it off the top of the deck, and in doing so, the thumb pinches the card along with the right middle and ring fingers, just like that. And as it does so, the fingers curl in, and the right index finger and the right pinky pinch the card on the two long ends. So right now you're in sort of a devil's horn position, and the hand is going to turn from palm up to palm down. And as you do so, this is going to be swiveled over like that. These fingers push straight, and the thumb lets go. So it goes on the back of the hand like that. So after this, the card is going to be bent so that it will build up the pressure necessary for the launching of the card. But it's not going to be bent between the pinky and the index finger. The thumb and the pinky are going to be the main points of pressure. So for that to happen, we need to do three things after we get the card on the back of the hand. After stabilizing this on the middle finger and ring finger, the index finger is going to just duck out of the way and go underneath the card. Then the right pinky is just going to move a little bit to the left and just push the card over like that, so that it's overlapping the index finger by about as much as the index of the card is. And the third thing is that the right thumb is going to reach over and just pinch the card, and maybe also contribute by pulling it a bit to the left. So there's a kind of teamwork going on between the pinky and the thumb, in the sense that once they've clipped the card, they can help to adjust it so that the index finger is about this much in of the card. So at sequence speed, it looks like this, and then at real time. So once you get to this position, you want to line up the index finger so that it's directly parallel to the deck of cards, so that way when the card flips over 360 degrees, it lands on the deck and doesn't go over in all sorts of weird diagonal directions. So what I like to do is the left hand will open up into a charlier cut or a post-revolution cut position, and this happens in conjunction with the move. And once you've built up your pressure here, pinky will let go and just kind of pull down. And as you do so, a split second after, your index finger and thumb just open up a little bit. So it goes like that, and it spins 360 degrees in the air into the waiting opening of the left hand's packet. So the thing about this is you don't want to have to be able to, or you don't want to move the right hand at all during this. It should just look like the card is just firing itself, in midair. I've seen people do this and they try to adjust their hands or turn it in some way or like move it around, and it kind of takes away from the elegance of the move. So when you do it, try to have it so that the fingers are doing all the work, and that way it focuses on the actual kind of pressure and momentum of the move instead of any kind of movement from the hands. So once again, here, there, opening, and there we go. Backdrop. So the inspiration for Raccoon came from a variation of the one card pop out by my friend William, where instead of going forward, he would move the top card backwards so that the right angled card would be towards himself. So the mechanics for that are what lead into the main thumb rotation movement of this flourish. So to do that, we start off in end grip with the fingers here and the thumb of the right hand on the inner part of the deck. You're going to start in a high mechanics grip, and then from this point on, you begin by removing the left thumb, shifting this over here, and the way to do that is the right index finger is going to start here and slowly do two things. The first thing is to move from here down to where the thumb is, and the second thing is to slide itself diagonally across the card. So by doing that, and just sort of angling the card this way also, by straightening out the finger, you get this really nice motion of being able to move the card with the thumb as the pivot point counterclockwise. So here, there, move it back, and as you do so, you allow the deck to rest itself flat on the hand and insert the thumb into this little V of the deck. Because for this move, you don't really need to create a whole right angle. You just need this much to be able to get the thumb inside there and begin the rotation part of the move. So from this point on, we're going to move the right index finger, the thumb of the right hand, let's go, up to this center point here. So you see where this kind of invisible line of the halfway point of the length of the deck is. That's where the index finger is going to park itself for the remainder of this flourish, because the left thumb from that point on is doing all the work. So if you see the index finger, it sort of just remains not specifically right here, but in the general length across that area. So here, there, and index finger stays still. So now, left thumb begins to move towards yourself. So you begin to get this initial turn here. And as you go there, it starts to go in, and then it moves to the right. So in, to the right. And so now you get this card in a horizontal position. So this point is going to be the part that makes it so that Raccoon, is able to spin that much. You get the card here. The index finger still doesn't do anything. What happens is this part, this curved part of the thumb, hooks onto this part of the card. And you see this card here, and moves itself around like that. So yes, the index finger is kind of moved all this way over here, but it's still on that line there. So take a look here. There, like that. So once we get across this point here, the thumb continues its journey and continues to move towards the left. And doing so, your hand just sort of opens, and that's how you get the last run of Raccoon there. And then from this point on, this is where your index finger finally does the last leg of the flourish and just returns to the deck. So up here, you begin to move it, lowers down, left thumb into the crack, move this up here, the right thumb is out of the way to the halfway mark, thumb moves towards yourself, it continues, these fingers cross, you go around and back, real time. So that's Raccoon. So if you've already become familiar and proficient with the technique for raccoon, there's a variation I have where you can spin it anywhere from 4 to infinity times. It's called raccoon with 5 O's because that's how many years I've been doing this. And the idea is we're going to start raccoon the same way, high mechanics, pull this as we lower the deck. But this little opening here, we're going to try and get it a lot wider because we want to put more of the thumb into the opening, because with this, the more the card is lowered down on the thumb, the better of a rotating agent you have for this to work. So up here, pull down a little wider, the thumb goes in like this, and it's the same thing for the first spin, except once you get to the point where the card is about to be upright again, your middle finger goes to where the index finger used to be in the center, and then your thumb does another round. So it's the exact same technique as raccoon, except now you have a new pivot point, so the thumb, ducks around there. And then when the middle finger is done, the ring finger goes here. The thumb will then just pull back because it's already hooked on here, right? Pulls back, and then it shifts down a little bit. A good tip for this is once you get to this point, your thumb can actually move a little bit along the length of this so that it's not just right on the small end of the card, but actually in the center again. So it slides around. And finally we have the pinky, and that goes right on that center mark. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And you practice enough, you can get it so that it's a steady boom, 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 boom rhythm. There are people out there who I've seen do this endless times. There's one guy, I think, who used the technique of switching from the index finger to the middle finger back and forth. Some people have it down where you can use just one finger and go around again and again and again. Personally, I think that visually the idea of people being able to see that it switches from finger to finger is kind of cool as well. So that's raccoon. Play with it. Hope you like it. So a while ago, my friend Jonas came up with a way to spin a card off the top of the deck, 360 degrees, which I thought was really cool. I'd also been doing Dave Buck's Flirt for a long time, so I decided to combine the two at one point and get a nice double spin out of it. After some experimentation though, I found there was a way to add a third spin that was very similar to the technique I used for raccoon, except instead of counterclockwise, it was in the clockwise direction. So let's take a look at how to do that. We start by holding the deck again in a high mechanics grip, and we're going to let go with the left thumb, and the right index finger is going to offset this card to the left. Just going to move it out there. As we do that, the right middle finger gets out of the way. So here, here, here. And now the left thumb is going to travel back here, and then using the index finger as a pivot point to spin the card around by moving from the back to the front. So here, like that. So you can see that the middle finger has to get out of the way so that the card has room to spin. So once it does that, now that the middle finger's out, it comes back here, and we're going to execute, flirt from this position here. So to do that, we have the index finger move forward with the middle finger as a pivot point, out. And notice the whole time how the left index finger is just supporting the deck so it doesn't fall over. So you see there, and it's just underneath, so that the whole time when we're gripping this, the deck has a place to sort of rest. So here, flirt is like that, and the key to making flirt look good is to have the index finger, it doesn't just go forward and move the card and back. What it does is it takes that card and it actually moves it momentarily across this little corner here. Because that way, when people are viewing it from the front, it's not just a single dimensional move. There's actually a point where the card is facing towards them at one point. So it gives it an extra sort of oomph. So you're here, moves forward, pops over a little bit, and now this left thumb that's been sort of away for a while, it goes out, it comes back in, and you start to pull the card in back there. So this is the two-spin variation, just to do flirt here, in there like that, and then the fingers here open up and you pull it in. And each finger moves down. So that's the double spin. For the triple, what we do is, same thing, it moves around, except at this point, you're gonna come back. See how the left index finger is still here? This is important. You move this down, and the index finger is gonna pull this down here. And you want to have your right thumb sort of bow in like this, because at this point, we're gonna need all the space we can get, because the card is gonna come back here, and you see how the thumb clears out of the way? This is what allows you to have room for when the outer right corner of the card is gonna come spinning back around there. So again, it's like raccoon, but just the other way. So the technique for that is to bring this down here, and see how it's just sort of coasting still? The index finger can drag the card around like that. So it's pivoting on the left thumb's point about here. And as you do so, notice how this is not square with the deck. It's actually kind of floating on being side jogged towards the left that way. So as you do that here, you see that you can use the thumb, and you know how raccoon was you move it back first? This one's the exact opposite. You move forward, and then the thumb goes towards the right, and the index finger is still just being a main pivot point for this. The hardest part for this is this little part here, clearing the way and just going around there like that. So to get it well, you go around here, the thumb ducks down, go around, and you just straighten your index finger so that your thumb from the back here can move forward, and now you've got your little three-part spin. So that's Rocket Raccoon. Thanks to Dave, and thanks to Jonas. The inspiration for this move came from showing Jonas flirt, and he went ahead and came up with a one-handed variation of it, which I thought was really cool. I experimented over the years to get a look of the one-handed version that was similar to how a two-handed version looked, and so I ended up with this. So to do this, we need to have an end grip that is held in such a way that the right ring finger is a little bit closer to the right corner than it normally is, because when you do the move at the end to pull this in, if the finger is too far in, then it's just going to block this card all the way. So you hold it with one hand, and it starts off by just a single simple one card pop-out move. So that's with the index finger, moves the card out like this. And pivoting on the right middle finger, the card is shifted out like that. So here. The second thing that's going to happen is something that's similar to the opening of Raccoon, where you know how the index finger moves across the length of the card. So that's going to happen, except now it's dragging this card. So the index finger goes from there all the way down to just beside the thumb. But the important thing for this is that the card is perpendicular, at a right angle, and that this little corner of the card ends up in a position where this part is contacting the thumb. Because if we do it and it's hitting the card like that, then we can't get the rotation needed to close the move. So it needs to be maybe a little more out than you would normally do, and then you pull it in to do the move. So first part is the pop out, then the moving down of the index finger from here to there, like that. And the third part is, you see how the hand, it used to hold the cards kind of like this, but now it's slowly adjusting to come in at a diagonal angle, you see? At this point here, see how the fingers straighten out? You then, with this unit kind of pinched there, let go with the right middle finger, so it clears room for space. Have your index finger just do this little thing where it pulls card and rotates it back into the deck. So that's here, it just pulls and it goes in, so just this little motion there. So it's really cool because you don't even have to do that large of a motion to be able to get the entire card to spin 90 degrees back in to the deck. So there's a certain timing for this, because the original Flirt has the part where it comes out and then it kind of races back in, which is what gives it that nice sort of, what did I just see, what just happened kind of feel. So for this, we try to achieve the same look, and to do that, you go out, and then it's a quick shot back in. So it's here, that's the first part. And the last part, we move this in here like that. So it's three-point system of movement. So that's the Vert Flirt. This next move is actually part of a longer flourish sequence called Roundabout, but it can also be used as a sort of visual, flashy, flourishy add-on to a magical moment for a change, let's say, or a revelation. So, the idea behind this is, I started off by toying around with this classic move, and from here I found out that by shifting the card around and adjusting the pressure at different points of the deck, I was able to control the card so that it spun around a bunch of times. So it goes along the entire circumference of the deck, hence the name 2πr. So to do this, we start from a position where the card is out-jogged in the center, and we want to use the right hand to just begin to shift the card so that it moves counterclockwise. And to ensure that everything flows smoothly, we first let the left thumb get out of the way, and so the deck doesn't just fly out of the hand when you do this. The left fingers clamp down on this edge here. Not so tight enough that it can't move at all, but just light enough so that you have a point of grip so that the card knows to guide itself out in that direction and not be, not fall into this part here. So, right hand moves it like this there, and the card is just naturally going to follow the arc of your hand. And as you do it, you go around, and when you get to about here, it clears the space so that your left thumb is free to come back and then take over from the job that these fingers are doing. So here, now the thumb clamps this side, these fingers open up, and now you continue the journey that you're making around the pack. And now you have an entire 360 spin. So there's several things that you can do from here. The first thing, as part of the flourish that I do, is I will spin the card, do 2 pi r, and then my left hand is going to turn slightly palm down as I continue to shift the card from here into that position as it turns around there. I take this card, I pull it out, left thumb kicks this up and transfers it onto the back of the hand. And provided you're in a situation where moisture or friction isn't a problem, the card will then just glide across the back of your hand where you can catch it onto the waiting deck. So the key to this is just to kind of get it on the fingers. Your thumb is going to add a support for the first part. And as you just move the left hand's portion around here, as your hands cross, you'll just glide along the back of your hand down onto the deck. So it's here, like that. So you get a nice smooth motion. So that's as a flourish. As a revelation, let's say you have the card and it's, you know, placed in the deck and you want it to change into another card, so you do a double lift and get into that. So now as a revelation, you can do the move and just simply turn it over and then pull it out like that. So it would be, let's say we have 3 of spades, let's place in the center. You give it a magical turn and pull it out. So it's similar to, you know, kind of the way the center doubles look in terms of how it's revealed. There, like that. So that's 2 pi r, and it has a whole bunch of applications that you can toy around with and explore and discover for yourself. And I hope you have fun with it.